Hello?
Hello.
Hey. Hey, Eric, how are you?
Pretty good.
I always try to catch people doing something funny at the time where, some people start dancing to the
Oh,
music,
I
but
was doing
yours
that, and then I realized
still.
that the video was on.
Okay, well, hopefully we don't have any AV difficulties here. We are ready to go. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome, everyone. My name is Joyce. I'm in developer relations at Postman, and I have special guest Erik here. Erik, do you want to give a quick introduction?
Yes, I am a front-end developer and open source developer. I work at a company called Mavenoid, and we're here today to talk about forms and for you to teach me about Postman, because I know nothing.
So I first met you, and we'll have a broader introduction a little bit later on. But I first met you. I feel like you do a lot of live coding at conferences. Is that correct?
Yes, I like to do live coding on stage for whatever reason, and I always appreciate live coding talks because it feels more real and it feels more, I don't know, like you're walking a tightrope or something, like that anything could go wrong. And if you can pull it off, it's all that more impressive.
Yeah, there's that adrenaline rush. But your jam is like what? React? It's front end, but like, what's your specialty?
I've been using React since it was released 10 years ago now. And because I was such an early adopter, I ran into some of the rough edges where things like forms, where the React docs, even to this day, only tell you how to control one input, and for more than one input, they give you no guidance whatsoever. And so I was building a thing that I needed like 15 inputs, and I was like, where can I store all of this data? And I came up with a way. At the time, Redux was ascendant, and I chose to put my form data in Redux, and I open sourced a little library called Redux Form that quickly gained popularity because it was the same. Everyone was just running into the same problem. Where do I put all my form data? And it became a pretty popular library.
Well, seeing React around for so many iterations, I think, is kind of interesting. And I just realized we are having a technical difficulty. Let me take the chat off the screen. We have a bunch of folks that have joined us from all over. So hello and welcome. I just finally found the tab so I can see what everyone's saying. I think forms are something that every front-end dev has to deal with at some point. And then there's like so many different ways to do it, just like APIs. And so that was something that I was gently arguing with you about the last time I saw you. So I'm really glad you're here. So before we dive deeper into the world of forms, front-end web dev, and APIs, let me bring my screen on really quick. And we're going to go through 2 minutes of in case you missed it. So we usually talk about new releases, but just yesterday we had a monthly webinar where we had every single thing that has dropped in Q2, and we had Pooja and Arlemy take us through that. So I'll drop a link to that here. The video should be up rather soon. And so this is everything that released in Q2. I normally save this for the end, but I'm just going to go ahead just because it is in case you missed it. We have two other things that I want to give a shout out for. One is the 2023 State of the API report. And Erik, the last time I saw you, I was quoting a bunch of stuff from 2022's report, but this is the latest and greatest. And we every year, like we have more and more people answer. This past year, we had 40,000 developers and API professionals answer. And it's really kind of interesting to see what type of technology, what type of things are you struggling with, and that kind of thing. Okay, and then the last announcement I have is we do have a hackathon going on right now. Let me post that one. This is a weather hackathon. So until August 1st, you have the opportunity to participate in this virtual hackathon using weather data. I don't know much about it, but I posted a link here in the chat. So just a couple of announcements to kick everything off. I'm going to take my screen off so that it's just our faces again. So Erik, I interrupted you last time. You started some of the form libraries early on because you were struggling with things. You saw other people struggling with things. What precisely did you invent, and can I drop a link somewhere?
Yes. So I called it Redux Form. It's redux-form.com. This is old and no longer maintained, and I do not recommend that anyone use it, but you can see what it was there. And that's that became quite popular because, like I said, lots of people were trying to solve this problem, and Redux was becoming very popular. And but I made the mistake of anytime someone said, "Hey, can it do this?" Well, first of all, I thought I was closed-minded in my own of my own use case. I thought for sure everyone is going to know the 15 fields in their form when they start building their form. But then people came and they're like, I need a button to add a new field or add a new set of fields. And that hadn't occurred to me. So I built a way to enable you to do that with arrays of fields. And it's, I kept saying yes to every request. Like, can it do this? I wanted to do this, but not if this is true and things like this. And so the library sort of grew in size to the point where it was a pretty big download if you wanted to add Redux form to your application. And other people were saying, but why do I have to use React? Well, I'm using some other framework. Can't I use this with Angular or Svelte or something? And the answer is no, because it was so tightly coupled to React. So when I was getting all this feedback, I was speaking at a couple conferences, and people would come up to me and ask me these questions. I decided to go back to the drawing board and come up with an idea for a form library that was not framework. It didn't require a particular framework. It was just JavaScript. Because if you think about it, form state is and always will be like your values and which fields have errors and which and have you submitted? Are there errors back from the server? Are there client side validation errors? And so, like, no matter what framework you're using, you're going to have to build a good form. You're going to have to deal with all of that state. And so I built another thing called Final Form, and that is at final-form.org. And that is my second attempt to solve this problem. And that is, I made it modular. So if you need complex features, you can like tack another bit on, and you can sort of like Lego bricks build your own bespoke form library. And that would have been immensely popular, except that it came out a month too late, and everyone moved over to Formic, another library that was very similar to this. In fact, the author of Formic said that if I'd released this a little bit earlier, he wouldn't have even written it. But it still has like 1 million downloads or something a month, and
wow,
it's pretty. I haven't done a lot with it lately because it's more or less done. Like it handles forms, all the possible form states
yeah.
pretty well. It just needs updating for different, I don't know, TypeScript versions and things like that. But so yeah, that's my history with forms. And
So if you're just getting started with web dev, or you're tackling a new project and you're on React, would you still recommend using Redux form?
no, don't use Redux form.
Okay.
Start with React. So Final Form is a framework agnostic core engine, and then I built another thing called React Final Form that like wraps around it to hook it up to React. And as I had hoped, other people have come along and written like Vue Final Form and another one to use Final Form for like web components and different um, different wrappers around it, which is what my original hope was. So, yeah, if there's also React Final Form.org is the React Final Form. I guess it's just /React, but that puts you with that gives you bindings for React that make it very nice. So I would still recommend whenever I need a form, I will use uh, React Final Form. But
Yeah.
there are
I always
the there's a more popular one now called React Hook Form that has very active maintainers that a lot of people like, but it's different trade-offs like all engineering things.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting in the open source world. Like you encountered a problem and then you didn't see a solution right away, so then you built something out, and then you did the same thing for like your second project, and then somebody else was like, "Oh man, if you had done it, I wouldn't have done that." Because
Yep.
of course, no one's trying to. It doesn't seem like people are trying to compete. It just seems like they're just trying to offer an alternative to slightly address different use cases.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little good-natured competition in which one is more popular, but really, it's not like it turns into money in any way. So it we don't. In fact, I joke with the author of Formic that like we're whenever someone posts a thing like, "Fine, I'm going over to your competitor," the maintainer feels is just like, "Great, go give them your problems,"
Yeah.
uh, because uh, no, it's like because there's no like bottom line of income or anything. If someone chooses to use your thing or doesn't, it doesn't really matter that much. Um,
Yeah, and it's not like you're getting financially compensated, but I mean, I saw the number of stars on there. You were talking about weekly downloads. I think, like at Postman, we have somebody called Danny Dayton who has a very, very popular library called HTML Extra to customize like reports for. Well, you don't know anything, Eric. I'm talking to you like you know Postman, but you don't know anything. Anyways, Danny Dainton has super hugely popular, and something that drives him is probably just endorphins. Like he gets like a kick out
it
of
feels
people, the
great.
weekly downloads.
It feels great. I love it when someone asks, "Can you please do this?" and then you make it do that, and they're like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. You saved me 3 weeks worth of work." Uh, that just feels really good, and the and you have to have the intrinsic motivation to do open source. If you're looking for extrinsic, money or fame or something, that's not really a good reason.
Just praise.
But
Praise is fine.
my open source work did get me an offer to give my first talk, and when someone mentioned me on Twitter and they were like, "Hey, maybe this guy that wrote Redux Form can come talk at our conference," I was like, "No, no, no, no! I'm not a public speaker. I've never stood up in front of anyone and said anything." And they were like, "Well, we would fly you out to Bangalore, India, to for all expenses paid." I was like, "All right, I can talk about my foreign library for
Yes,
40,
please.
45 minutes or whatever." And
Yeah.
that was sort of the birth of and I realized that I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed meeting the other speakers and the attendees and going to conferences. And since then, I've been doing that several times a year.
Yeah, and you do a bit of public speaking, but you don't do a lot of streams, right?
No, this might be my first. I've
Okay.
done some podcasts before, but never live.
Well, we're doing it live now, so thank you very much for coming on the stream. We have a friendly audience, and so I feel like we're doing a couple of different things today. I personally wanted to publicly shame you for being such a senior web developer and really not knowing a lot about Postman. We just before the stream started, you created an account. Is that correct?
Guilty as charged.
Yeah. And so the last conference we were at, we are just chit chatting about APIs and how you would just, well, how do you test APIs? How do you explore APIs if you don't use a tool like Postman? And like, don't you do this in an interview process?
Yeah. So if I like say I need to use Stripe or something, I will just read the documentation and just sort of try it in their sandbox and look at the request uh, responses and errors and things, and just sort of figure it out from the code. It's because it's not a tool that I've really come to use. I don't like I don't see all the nails because I never used a hammer. Uh, and yes, for my current role, I both was interviewed with this question and have since interviewed other people. Of here's an API. It's going to give you back some data, more or less in this shape. Uh, we want you to build a front end to display this data in the best way you think that would be good for the user based on whatever the data is. And when I did that, I just wrote a quick little fetch in JavaScript to look at the data, and like I printed it out to the console, and that's how I went exploring the API. But when I gave this interview to other people, a lot of people pulled up Postman or an app like Postman and started exploring it in that way. And that's it hadn't occurred to me, but it also like seemed like a smart move to reach for something like that. So I want to learn
So
more.
I have a question for the audience. And actually, kudos to your first conference talk at Bangalore. Somebody did say hello from Bangalore, so it's
Yes.
probably very late there right now. But for the folks in the audience, if you got this interview question and were asked to send an API and explore the shape of what the response payload, is that the question, Erik?
Yeah, like it on the little PDF that I was given, it more or less told me that you're going to get back this JSON structure, but I think there was actually a typo in it that may or may not have been intentional. Uh, so if you just copied and pasted that, it wouldn't match exactly with what you got back. So yeah, it was hit this endpoint and then load this data, and then with that data hit this other endpoint, and I had to like you could batch up to 10 like IDs that you wanted to fetch data about. But yeah, it was explore these endpoints, and then once you know what you're getting back from them, design the front end for it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So for those in the audience, if you got that interview question, how would you have done it? I mean, you're watching a Postman live stream, so maybe you'll use Postman. Maybe you'll do what Erik did and console log something, build the app, and then console log it to see the payload. That boggles my mind. But I mean, everyone does what they're comfortable with. And Erik, you were saying like if you don't know what the nails are because you've never used a hammer, then of course, like you're not shopping for those tools. It's kind of like you developing a library for forms. If you're using forms like once in a blue moon, you're probably not going to ever come up with the idea, hey, this, I bet a lot of people encounter this problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to learn a little bit more about forms. I am one of those once in a blue moon kind of people where when it comes time, like, okay, I gotta save the state, I gotta pass it through, I gotta like hold on to it, I gotta do validations. Um, do you have something for us that we can code along with so that we can learn a little bit more about forms?
Yeah. In preparation for this, I built a simple little app that with a form of like 3 or 4 inputs, and I'll show you how to use React Final Form to build a form that does some client-side validation and then submits via REST API.
Okay, sounds good. Let me bring your screen on. Are you okay with me bringing your screen on?
Yep.
Okay, let me do that now. Okay,
Okay.
so do you mind just
So
zooming just a scotch?
I've built this because uh, Postman's worst fear are dogs. Uh, I've built a little thing to make a little database of dogs. Uh, and when I go to create, we get to this component, and this is where we're going to build our form. So the way you start with this is with the form component from React Final Form. Thank you, Copilot. And this is going to, the only thing this requires is an onSubmit function that's going to take your values and do something with it. And what it uses this, if you've been using React for a little while, this is kind of a common practice now. It wasn't a long time ago, but this children as render prop thing. So you, rather than passing JSX as children, you can pass a function, and that is given a handle submit that you are supposed to give that directly to your HTML form on submit. Go. And so now we have
Are you co-piloting?
It's Copilot. I can turn that off maybe.
No. I was just.
Well, maybe not.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean
very fast.
It's just enabled, and yeah, it's kind of wild.
It's luxurious. Yeah.
Yes. So inside here, there's a couple ways we can go about this. We can do like, wow, Copilot, just go. So this is what a regular input would look like. But to connect it to final form, we need to use a field component. And that takes all of that, except I need to say that I want this to be an input. And it's type text. And all of these extra props are going to be passed along to the inputs component that it renders. So let's see if this, all right, look, we already have a name here. And this, this is a thing I like to do when I'm demoing things, is we can
Erik, we do have a question from the audience.
yes.
Does this mean I can also be an experienced web dev if I install Copilot?
Copilot is like an eager junior dev that wants to please you, but often makes mistakes and often thinks that you're going in one direction when you're not. And so you need to be very careful with Copilot.
I'd be interested to see the stats behind how many people just accept.
Oh, like a lot. And in my experience, I've done that, and I've submitted a PR and shipped a prod, and then later discovered that there was a bug in the Copilot code, and felt bad about it. But so here, this is now in React. They initially, and I think they still recommend that you have what's called a controlled input, and that means that so the React way to do an input, like the way they tell you, is see, Copilot thought I wanted values, but really wanted value. So it's is they would have you do let's do name. They'd have you do that, and then in your form you would do input value equals value except name, and on change you would set your name like that, and then that would mean that your name is changing all the time as you're typing. So it's re-rendering the entire form every time your value changes. And if you don't if you don't change this and render it with a value, this fixed value, then like no matter how hard you bang on the keyboard, you can't change this because it's just not going through this data loop of updating a thing and then re-rendering. So that's fine. This is the way that React tells you to do stuff, and that's fine until you have a bunch of these, and then you also want to have like name error because you're doing validation, and you have a whole bunch of these, and it gets really gross really fast, which is why I built a form library.
So is the library more to get at productivity or convenience, or is it something, it doesn't influence performance? It still happens the same way behind the scenes, correct?
No. Well, yes, by default, because by default, that's re-rendering the whole thing every time any value changes is generally okay for small forms of like 25 inputs or something. But when you have a form library and it is released out into the world, you will get people that will come and say, hey, the performance is kind of slowing down when I have my 500th field. And when someone told me that, I was like, what are you doing with 500? But it's true. And so one of the things that I built into Final Form is this efficiency trick that lets you only re-render the bits of your form that need to change. But I think that's beyond the scope of what we're doing today. So this field system manages that updating. Like by doing this, it's adding an on change and an on focus and an on blur to the input that you're giving it. So this is one way to do it. But if we're going to have validation, the field needs to, in order to get the validation error or like around our div here, we need to have the field render this whole thing. So what I'm going to do is name, and then we can use the same children as render prop thing trick here to render. We're given two things. We're given input and we're given meta. And I'll explain what those are in a second. So input is all the stuff that we need to pass to this input thing. This is our on change and our name and our on blur and our on focus. And we can add that there, placeholder. And we can put our whole div in here like so. So now still working, but this field thing is rendering our entire input here. So that's going to allow us to add validation errors in a moment. Now we need age was the next one that I had. So we're not using meta yet, but we will. Age is a number. And oops. our HTML4 to work, we need a... Okay, so now we have an age here, that's a number, and our name. Okay, oops. So now we want a breed, and our breed is going to be a drop down. So that's select. And we're still giving it our inputs. Here we want iterate through some breeds that we have. Option.
Can you scroll up just slightly?
Yeah. And value. And prettier is not happy because we want to. Oh, it's not breeds. It's but I've got this this thing here. Okay, so the label is the key and the value is the value in this map. So we really need to do entries, and this is label the value. So that's the fun part about live coding. We have typos. So cross our fingers. Excellent.
Ooh.
Yes. So lots of breeds. We will add an empty one here just so that you can make the mistake of not having one. There. So now there's an empty one at the top. Okay, so now let's add validation. Now there's two ways to do validation with my form libraries, and that is there's what I call record level validation, where you validate the entire JSON object of your form values, or there's field level validation, where you just validate the current value. There are different trade-offs. They're very similar, but for this, we're going to do record level validation. So I'm going to define this validation function out here. But that's an example, thank you, Copilot, of a field level validation, where it takes the value, and if it's valid, then undefined, which means that it's valid. Otherwise, give an error. But we are going to do this other way, and this is, let's see. This is that, I believe. And this is.
I don't know if you can type in while I talk at the same time, and I don't want to bug you.
Oh,
but
no, go ahead, please.
You're a very, very experienced web dev. I have a friend who's a very, very experienced infrastructure engineer, and he does freelance gigs all the time to optimize code bases. And he said, I can't remember the precise percent, but he said over 50% of his jobs, all he does to optimize the performance is does client-side validation.
Interesting. This is almost partial of key of string. Where's it say? So what this means in TypeScript, it's not obvious, is we're going to return an errors object that is for each of our field names. It's either going to have a string that's the error or nothing. So what we're going to do is if, wow, that's perfect. Pilot. So now if any of these are ever faulty, then we're going to give back a required error.
Okay.
And the form library is going to make it so that when we try and submit our form, if it fails validation, we're not even going to get into this on submit function. We're just going to go back and display our errors.
Nice.
And we can do something like if sure. Okay, let's see what this says for my dog. Yes, Copilot, love you.
That's what? That's not cool.
AI,
Come
man.
on, Copilot.
All right. So let's put our values here on submit, and so now we're good. We're validating. I forgot a placeholder here. Let's do that. So now we're validating. Oh, I don't have a submit function, a submit button. Thank you. Okay, so now if I hit submit, oh, I didn't actually plug in the validation. So it submitted an empty thing. Here, let's actually. Sure. So I needed to plug in here a validate function. And now if I try and submit, it won't do the alert, but we're not displaying our errors yet either.
Okay.
So to display our errors, we use this meta thing. So first I'm going to show the wrong way. So if we have an error, we're going to display it. And sure enough, we do. But that's not a nice way. Like if you just refresh the page, it's not nice to the user to be yelling at them before they try.
What is meta again?
Meta,
where did you get a meta from?
Meta is given to us from the field. This is the state of the field. So
okay.
Here, I will show you. Meta looks like this. This is for the meta for the name. So this is all this state that the form library is managing for you. That if you wanted to do it yourself, you would need like a use state hook for each of these.
Okay. So, wow. Okay.
So watch when I focus on the field, active is going to become true, and there's a special thing called touched, which I find very useful. That is, if you've had focused and then lost focused, then touched becomes true for the lifetime of the input. And valid is false. And look, there's our error. That's how we're going to get our error under meta.error. So when I focus on this field, thank you.
Touch
active
true.
Became true. And touch became true when I blurred, and visited is have you ever been to it at all? So the nice way to display your error is only if the field has been touched. If the user has focused on the field and then left, and then need to be reminded to come back. So
see, this is why I think libraries are cool, because if I'm building my own, I'll think of like maybe 3 scenarios until another scenario comes, and then I'll build it in. But this already supposes all the different scenarios people have run up against.
Exactly. So that's why using a library is a good idea. So now we refresh. If I'm on this, if I tab away, it should have shown my error, but I'm not showing the error properly. What have I done wrong?
It's on the bottom.
Well, let me get rid of this pre thing. Yeah, there. So as I touch them, the errors appear. And
can you
also,
refresh so we can see it again? I just want to.
Yeah. So tab.
Very nice.
And also, if you try and submit and you haven't touched a field, it will mark them all as touched. So it will show you your errors as you need to.
Your front-end design skills are impeccable. Look at that beauty.
Hold on. There's thank you for your mockery. There is a CSS file here that I've missed some part of. No, it's not here. What have I not done exactly right? Div label. Oh, I didn't put a class form. Watch this. You little faith. Oops, it's not class form. It's this is not the way I normally do styles, but this is the way it comes out of the box. Look at that.
Oof. Like
Better?
Magic.
So it would have been more lined, except I've zoomed my font and I've messed it up. But so now we have our form here, and if I refresh, I can go and type in a thing. I've played around with some things before here. And here, let's do that. See, must be positive. Very good. If my doggy is too old, like as I'm changing it.
I don't like that one.
Okay. We'll just deal with puppies for the sake of this screen. And we'll choose something there. And now if I hit create dog, it's kept all of that. And because it's now valid, it's calling my on submit. So
Eric, I have a question, unless you're.
No, go ahead.
So you did validation for the age, for example, in like kind of like a if like you have 3 buckets, right?
Yeah.
If else if. Do you do other types of validation where it's kind of like did you have one of your fields like a write-in, like a text for breeds?
No, I haven't. It's just a drop down. What do you mean?
I thought you updated one of the fields so that it would take like an other or something, but
no, I made it so that you can have an empty one and get yelled at.
Got it.
But no, but there are many ways to do validation. The more modern way is to like define like a schema and check it against a schema where you've said, name has to be a string and age has to be a number and things like that. One common weirdness about HTML forms is this age, and you'll see it here. This is an input of type number, right? But it's giving me back a string because all inputs give you strings, which is just a bizarre artifact of the 30 plus years of HTML forms. So if you're validating stuff or you really need something to be a number, then you have to do some formatting along the way. But that's just another edge case of forms.
I was just curious because in Postman, we're always validating like payloads and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
so we frequently do schema validation. And
Yep.
I'm wondering, as a very senior person, you're so senior, but like, how often do you do schema, like client side schema validation versus like case situation?
Not so much for forms. Where I really rely on schemas is with talking with APIs. Even even with first party APIs, I feel safer if I'm validating both what's going out and what's coming back with via a schema. But definitely for third party APIs, I will validate what comes back and make sure that it meets my expectations.
Got it, got it. And we did just have some folks join us. Welcome, welcome to the live stream. Erik just built the most beautiful dog breeds form. It's gorgeous. We have some UX validation. Would you call that UX validation, where it's
Client side.
client side validation, but specifically for like to enhance the UX, I would say.
Yes, yes. So yeah, so if you're here and you tab away, then it reminds you, hey, this is required, and you have to go back and type something
Yeah.
in. Yeah, this doesn't do anything yet. It just well, once
Shows
it's
us in the
valid,
bottom. Yeah.
uh, it we're not actually submitting it yet. So we should submit it. Um, let's do okay. So here, rather than alert, we are going to fetch. Very good. API dogs. And this is a post because we're creating. And sure, thanks, Copilot. And that looks exactly right. And I think we're done.
So fast.
We could do like that, but that doesn't really accomplish much here. And so after our fetch, we're going to go back. Uh, this is a next application, so we're going to say router.push. Nice try, Copilot. It's actually slash. So that's going to submit our thing, and after it's submitted, take us back to the root path, route, root route. So let's see if that works. Okay, it brought us back here, but we don't have any dog in our list. I wonder if we had an error on our server. Probably post handler or parsing our rec body, which should be JSON, but it isn't. So let's dig into that. Log our body, see what that looks like. Okay, dog. Okay, that is. Let's see, I'm doing something wrong here. I can serve body JSON, right? That's what I had before. API dogs method post. This is the fun of live coding.
Sometimes people can help if they have eagle eyes.
Yes. initial values. So before I had API dogs post stringify values. Why is, oh wait, hold on. Hold on, let's fix this. Body should be parsable JSON. Oops. Compiler error. What have I done? Next is condensing my So here I'm using a Zod schema to parse what I'm getting. I am passing name and age, breed, and we're omitting ID and image. Not using the response, that's fine. So let's continue a little bit here. So my create page here is passing some initial values to the dog form. That might help. And oh, there's my problem. So
What?
my dog form isn't supposed to do the creation. It's supposed to receive and on submit prop, which takes that and also values, which will provide our initial values, because dog form needs to be used for editing too. Values is dog form values. So that might help a little bit. Started with a default age. Color. And unexpected token O in JSON position. Oh yeah, no kidding. Oops. Let's double check what create is doing here. Fetching there, method post. I'm not even specifying the type. See here, it wanted age to be a number, and of course I'm getting it as a string from my values here. We know this is going to be fine, because this is we didn't even alert. Oh, that's because I'm not passing it. Stupid. Hold on. Wait, I haven't fixed this. There. And just spot left words, of course. Right, so that got passed. You're still unhappy. Let's restart you.
My colleague Pascal always says store numbers as strings unless you're doing mathy things with them.
Yes, I agree. What happened there? I bet we got something in the log here. One, I thought. Let's remove that alert. Create. Sorry, poor dog. So I'm passing this. Image is fine to be empty because we generated on create. Name, age. And my response is, see, this is, for those of us that don't use Postman, we have to dig into this response stuff a lot. 500. Is this going to the right? Okay, good. There's port 300. Sometimes you can be on the wrong server without knowing it. Okay. So it's submitted with an error. You know, we should probably make response.
I love watching people debug because I always pick up different things that people do differently than me, especially such senior engineers. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little motion sick here.
Dixon's not going to be anything, but so it's giving me back an error page, except it isn't. Oh, here. This might be interesting. Am I going to the wrong endpoint? What is all this? That's just nexty crap. I am doing post, right? It's like it's going to.
When the alert alerted object, what are you passing it through as? Right before that?
This is body. I'm doing. It is API dogs. Method post. And I mean, that's what I'm passing. Maybe, I mean, it shouldn't need. Wow. Oh, look at that. Before I was doing text. That should. So I did some changes this morning. Let's see. It's and TypeScript is happy. Dog form is happy. And internal server error. Well, let's see what we can do here. I can do a little cheat. Where is my submit? Wow. So nothing has changed from when this was working. That's pretty wild. Okay, well, so if here, let's use Postman to explore my API.
Okay,
See why
sounds
it's broken.
good. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so how do we do that?
So, I mean, you're not getting anything back, right? So just submit the same. So have you ever used Postman?
Not since like 10 years ago when it was when it was
Okay,
just
okay.
a browser
An
extension.
extension. Okay, sounds good. So open up Postman in your web browser
Huh.
and open up a new tab. Oh, sorry.
Postman?
In Postman, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. And then plug in your localhost port and then endpoint. And then you'll update your method probably.
Well, I just want to. Well, I want to do a get to see that it gets me back in.
Okay,
Nothing.
sure.
But localhost is going to work.
It will if you have already downloaded the. Are you in the web?
I haven't. Yeah.
Okay, just go ahead and hit send, and you'll get an error. Okay, so scroll down and take a look at the error. So you haven't installed the agent, and this is behind our heads right here. Let me move our heads. There we go. Yeah, so download the desktop agent.
Okay.
Okay, so then you'll need to install it, run it, and this is to overcome cross-origin resource sharing errors because you're using the Postman web client instead of the Postman desktop client.
Yep.
And once it's running, you'll see a little Postman helmet next to your running cat at the top.
Sure, I'll move it.
No one else will have a running cat, just Erik.
Yes. Come on, Postman agent. That's fine, thanks. Okay, so now it's down there, and you're telling me I should have another thing up here?
Yeah, did you open the Postman agent?
It's running. Well,
it should show at the, I forget what it's called on Mac, taskbar up there.
Menu bar. Yeah,
Yeah.
except that I have a notch here because, God, I guess I can kill some stuff.
Is that limited slots up there?
It's no, but there's a notch in the MacBook Pros.
Okay.
And I have so much crap.
I love seeing other people's setups too. I'm gonna get running cat. CPU monitor.
How do I can't even kill this. But there should be one here, but I don't see it. I'm trying to run this, and it's
just do the open, like click on it, maybe right click on it, and then do. Does it say is open one of the options?
Like I'm clicking on this. Maybe I have it open already.
Okay, if it's open and it's running somewhere, then just go ahead and hit send and it'll tell you if you haven't done it yet in Postman.
Okay.
And then go to the bottom where it says desktop agent at the very bottom right.
Mm-hmm.
It does still say it.
If I refresh, it's not.
Yeah, toggle it over where it says auto select because I think you still have cloud agent. See if that works. Oh no, it's because you refreshed and didn't save.
That's fine. No, my agent's not running.
Okay.
But it's also not. Postman agent. Let me kill it.
Okay. When in doubt, reboot.
Yeah, it doesn't really work well in live streams though.
Mm. This is part of your unboxing experience, so I apologize
I love
for
it.
this.
I love it. Okay, look, it's claims to be running.
Okay.
There's no UI whatsoever. It's not supposed to open a window or.
Correct. Agent, it should only be running in the background, and it's only to overcome CORS errors, to allow the bridge to make those calls. Oh, so when you're on auto select agent, go back to there and just try to toggle that off and then try to manually select. I don't know why that's happening. Can you already refresh this page?
Yeah. Postman appears in the toolbar, but it's not appearing.
Yeah. Alternatively, I can ask you to download the desktop app, and it's usually
let's do
pretty
that.
quick if you want to do that. Yeah. So just go to our postman.com/downloads page. Is this Brave?
.com downloads.
John Christie is asking, do you guys have a web server configured locally? Is this a question for?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was hitting before on localhost.
John Christie, if you want to help us troubleshoot this 500 server error. We're doing a fresh download on a fresh machine. Although, watch, you probably already have this. Is this machine from 10 years ago?
No, thankfully. Sign in. Okay. We should have done this at the start.
Yeah. Well, usually it works pretty quickly. It shouldn't have taken a lot of time. Not sure what went wrong there.
Is this supposed to be loading something?
Yes, it is. What's that say?
Update failed. Something wrong trying to update your app. Check the DevTools for more information. Oh, wait, there we go.
John Christie is saying the desktop version should work. Honestly, the Postman web version should work too. It's just some issue was going on with the agent. Yes, please help us with the debugging.
Manually download. I just manually downloaded it.
Nicholas Haley is bouncing. Not going to help us. Not going to help us troubleshoot here. Thank you, Nicholas, for showing up. Okay, we do have one. Is it working? Because we do have another option if you want to look at my screen.
Sure.
And then you can navigate me.
How can you hit my application though? Well,
I cannot explore, but we can at least do the unboxing part.
I have actually like put this out on this little app out there, so you should be able to hit it. So let's
deployed.
Let's do that. Yeah, deployed.
Okay, do you want to drop? Want to drop? And your server is running. John Christie would like you to verify.
It is. It's here. Like I'm hitting that. When I was in the browser.
That's where the errors are showing?
here, see, because it's not showing the. Yeah.
God, I
see?
wish it was just, oh no, the server's not running. That would be amazing. Yeah, and you check the port.
Yep, it's 3,000. Anyway, let's do it on yours.
Okay. Okay, let me take your.
See, this is how you know this is a really live stream, because otherwise.
I was Googling what is Zod schema because I'd never heard of that because I
Zod
clearly
is
don't
amazing.
type. I don't type script. Should I?
Zod is very cool. There are other things like it, but Zod is really good about. Here, I'll show you. You define a schema.
Wait, let me bring your thing on.
Okay.
Yeah,
you say, I want an object that is a string, and this is also a UUID. This is a string. This is a string, and this is a number, and this is one of these other things that I've defined up here as a union of literals, and then you can just use like dog schema.parse. There's parse, which will throw an error, or there's safe parse, which will give you back either the data with an OK or not, or an error. And it's real. The errors are quite good. It gives you like the path to exactly which thing was not what it should be.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, but there are other libraries that do this. Okay, yeah, let's
let me
go to
share
your
my
screen.
screen, and then I do have Postman open here. Oh, good. We're having all sorts of suggestions here. Okay. This is from John Christie, going through a checklist to debug. Okay. Restart Postman. Check. We did that, right?
Yep.
Check Postman settings. Check your firewall settings. You didn't have anything set up? I mean, you're able to.
I don't think I have any firewall settings. No.
Restart your computer. Honestly, so this is a very legitimate and realistic. Like, we're on a live stream, so maybe not restart. I would normally restart if I was at home, not on a live stream.
Exactly. Me too.
Very good advice.
Yes.
Okay, so how is the view? Can you see this?
Yeah, I can. I'll answer for everyone.
So, did you have a deployed endpoint?
Yes, it's postman-dogs.vercel.app. If you go to /API dogs.
/API /dogs?
Yes.
Okay.
Should be able to get back an empty array. Hey.
Yes. Yay.
And so now, and if you want to actually go to that Postman-dogs API in your browser.
/API or just the?
No, just the root. No API.
Okay.
So here you can see if you can create a dog.
Okay. Only numbers.
Yep.
Let's see if I can find. Here we go.
I feel like a miniature poodle. All right, there I am.
Yay! So now can we explore? Can we try sending that through Postman?
Yes. So now if you refresh that Postman thing again, you should get not just an empty array, but you should get
all dogs.
Yep.
So let's send it again.
Ta-da.
Oh, there's Erik. Okay. Can we submit through Postman?
Do a if you want to do an update, you can do a put, or if you want to do a create, you can do a post.
Okay, so let's do a put method on the /API /dogs endpoint.
Yeah, I would copy what you got back before.
Okay.
And yeah, that is very good.
So
that should be your body, and
let's age you by 1 year.
Thank you. I feel like an old dog. Okay.
Oh, so method not allowed.
Put.
Should it be post?
No. I don't know. I was editing this before. See, I just this morning before we got on, in order to make it work publicly like this, I had to move from, I was just like storing stuff in a file, but like for it to work on Vercel, I had to like put it in like a little database, but it should. That's weird that it's.
Let me try post. You said put or post last time, I thought.
No, a post is going to create.
Okay, let's create a miniature poodle called Erik that's age 6.
That's weird. I just updated from the web.
From here?
Yeah. Like if you click on click on the row. That works.
Ooh, it works there. Works on your machine.
So let's look at what that's doing, what that's submitting exactly in your. I guess I can look at it.
So maybe I don't need
on my network tab. Let me see what this does. So let's go to 7.
I bet only certain fields will update. I probably can't update image, don't you think?
Oh, I know why. Because we're not using the rest properly. You should be. Your API is your path is wrong. So copy the ID that's in the thing there.
Okay.
And it's dog/that.
Okay,
that's the
so
way
do I need
the rest works.
The body? Does it matter?
It can be there. It's fine. So now
let's make you 7.
I just changed them to 7 on mine. So change it to like 10.
Okay, let's. No, slow it down. Slow it down. 8.
I can get younger too.
Method not allowed.
Method not allowed. I wonder what your headers are.
My request headers?
Yeah, that seems like it should be fine.
These are all auto-generated, so it's from the body I'm submitting.
Right. Let me look at the thing I'm submitting. Put to that place. Is it HTTPS? Imagine it should be. Huh. Works from the app.
John Christie is asking if you set up a route with /ID. Are you sure it's /API/dog/ID?
Yes. And the payload that I'm passing is exactly what you're passing in the browser. I wonder if Vercel is doing some thing like it's requiring that it be submitted as the refer here. My request is put with content type request headers. Put the mine has 2 request headers. It has origin, which is the Postman dogs Vercel app, and refer, which is the whole.
Oh. Sorry, say it again. Add 2 more headers.
Yes, one is origin.
Okay.
And that is HTTPS Postman dogs slash. Yeah, it's that. It's just all the way through app. So // Postman -dogs .vercel.app. And then there's another one that is refer, which is spelled wrong for historical reasons. And that's the same thing as origin, but / and then the ID for the dog. That's still on your clipboard somewhere. Are they?
Oops.
That's yeah. That guy.
/API/dogs?
Nope, because that's the edit page where you edit them from. So paste that. There you go. That's
wait, / is there dogs in here?
No.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
That's
what I'm submitting from the browser.
Oops, I put it in the wrong one. It's the put that you want this in, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's see.
Can you copy those? Wow.
Okay.
That's impressive.
So send.
Yep.
Okay, we have check the put request from the browser. Okay, so I'm in the deployed.
Yeah, if you just look at your network tab here,
Yep.
yeah, that exactly. That's what I was checking. So your headers
So it's
is
going to this. Can you see that? It's very small.
yeah, I can, but why next
Wait, that's a get. Here's a put. Sorry.
there? So that's what you're giving it, and put in the go to the bit down to the request headers. I mean, I don't know how much of this stuff is required. You're the API whiz.
It depends on your server, honestly. Like
Right.
we already sent a lot more stuff than most people do.
Yeah. I don't know.
Slash
It
app,
seems weird to me that it
refer.
would give you that, but because you're not coming from that
And you have the whole
browser,
thing, yeah.
Vercel wouldn't be like blocking Postman for any reason, I imagine. That would not be cool.
Well, I could also just use the desktop version too, just in case it's like a weird no. It's method not allowed. Okay.
Except,
Any other requests from the audience before we call it? Erik, you're included. You want me to try anything else?
I can't think of anything. This is strange.
Okay, well let's create 2 more dogs. One we'll call my dog, who is just about to be 5. And she is a lab. Is this just in any kind of order? Excellent. Okay. Are these real dogs? Where did you get this data set?
There is a dog image API. That's where I generate the image. Whatever one you do, it generates a random dog image.
Okay. Oh, look, it's a Lucy. I'll be a dog too for today. I am a puppy, a spry young Malinois. Okay, so now we have 3 dogs, and then let's just get our dogs. We have Lucy, Erik the miniature poodle, and me, the muscular and athletic Malinois.
If you're feeling brave, you might try a delete.
Okay, so is delete the same type of endpoint?
Yes, it's that,
Okay.
but with delete.
We'll try it.
All right,
and then
delete me. Body.
Do I need to include? Doesn't matter?
Nothing in the body.
Okay. Bad request. Invalid JSON.
I don't know. Put an empty JSON object in the body.
Wait, do I need to? Is it /dogs?
No, that you're good.
Okay.
Hey,
200 true.
You killed me.
Okay,
So
let's get our dogs again. Okay, so miniature poodle, are you there? No.
Oh, you put me down.
Oh,
that's sad.
That's too sad.
I was getting old.
So why did delete work and put didn't work? I wonder.
I don't know. That's bizarre. Doesn't make any sense.
Wait. Let's try that again, where we just get the ID without a body. Do you think?
Well, no, because pudding is updating the contents.
Oh wait, just the thing that needs to be updated. How about?
Are you updating yourself?
I'm updating myself to be what?
Age 7. But that's
string?
No number.
That won't work, you're saying?
I don't think this will. I think it'll complain because you're not passing the name too.
Good point.
Well, it's the same method, not allowed. That's deeper than
okay.
Schema parsing.
All right. Well, John Christie has 2 Malinois, so I picked like the spry athletic. Okay, so Eric, if you do find out what the solution is, I think it'll bug some people if they can't figure out what the issue is there. So maybe, yeah, we can absolutely share what it is. Can't rest until it's fixed.
Okay, we'll figure
Okay,
something out.
sounds good. Sounds good. And I think like one thing is I just wanted I personally am mind boggled, Eric, that you have been a web dev for so long, and just I mean with you've had more than like one, you've worked for more than one company, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So I'm actually really surprised that you haven't come around Postman so often. So I thought you were a unique, rare creature that I wanted to pick your brain. So it's really unfortunate that we didn't get it to work on your machine. So maybe in the future you and I can loop up again and we can have a proper unboxing.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm super curious about all the things that Postman can do that I don't know about.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't even know like the client stuff, and that's what everyone usually comes upon Postman for. So I think there'll I'll have to see if we can't find another time to talk together. But that was and actually John Christie said this as well. But I love watching other people and how they code. I mean, it was like Eric plus Copilot, but it's still really cool to watch like your thought process
Yep,
for how you troubleshoot. I think that's always helpful. Um,
nice.
Okay, so we always close out the stream with shout outs. So if there's anything that you're working on or any folks that you're working with in the community, either open source community or whatever, this is our chance to give shout outs. I will quickly go first to give you like 20 seconds to speak, but I just want to remind everyone that we do have the hackathon going on right now for you weather people. I'll drop another link here. The hackathon ends on August 1st, so you still have some time to participate in the fun. Maybe there's some prizes. Okay, go ahead, Eric. I have your link.
Yeah, so this is this course. It's created by a friend of mine that's really good at teaching TypeScript. It's called Total TypeScript, and it's not cheap, but it will really go take you from zero to the term they use is in the community is TypeScript wizard. It teaches you all the nooks and crannies about TypeScript. I highly recommend it, and you should follow its creator too, Matt Pocock on Twitter. There's probably a link somewhere in on that page that I sent. That's that's my only real recommendation that's coming to mind. The Zod library is very cool too for doing TypeScripty stuff. That
So,
is
what is I've been trying not to learn TypeScript for the longest time. Every time I
uh-huh.
learn something that has TypeScript, I like get rid of the TypeScripty parts. Do I need to learn TypeScript?
I think in this day and age, yes, it it feels it feels harder at first because you have to think about what types your variables are, but it will find that there's just this whole class of bugs that are impossible when using TypeScript. Uh, there you A lot of times in JavaScript, you'll try and use a value and it'll be undefined for some reason, and you don't really know why or how. And if you specify in TypeScript, this value is defined for sure. Then at development time, like in your IDE, not even build or running or anything, TypeScript will go and analyze your code and point out exactly where you're passing the wrong value, and that saves so much time. And it's especially valuable if you have to refactor, if you need to take this piece of code over here and move it over there and change all the places that are calling it. If you can, when you first do that in a big TypeScript project, you're going to have a bunch of errors, but like you should. And as you go fixing the errors, once you get down to 0 errors, you more or less know that you've hooked up all the hoses that you disconnected before. And it gives a level of peace of mind that that you can't get with JavaScript. JavaScript is so loosey goosey
Loose.
on,
Yeah.
and it'll let you do pretty much anything, and you can get into a lot of trouble if you're not careful.
Well, you have another TypeScript supporter there. I am being encouraged to dive in. I guess I have to. I feel like every single front end conference I go to has like a ton of talks about TypeScript, and so yeah, I'll probably have to do it. And one of our the at Postman, one of our company values is embrace constraints. And when you
Yes.
have constraints, it just narrows the field of what you need to focus on. So I think I understand what you're saying. Um, any other shout outs before we go?
No, just please use TypeScript. Like I feel so I feel so when I try and do something in JavaScript, like just for a demo or something on a talk or something, uh, I feel like I'm in a car without a seatbelt using JavaScript now because
Yeah,
TypeScript just makes me feel so safe.
yeah.
So
Wow.
that's my
That's
metaphor.
a good glowing metaphor. Okay. All right. Well, Erik, thank you so much for coming on the stream. We'll have to get you back on for something maybe TypeScript related,
Yep,
full unboxing for sure. But thank
please.
you so much. Next week we have another stream for you next Thursday. We're going to be modeling GraphQL data. So for all you GraphQL people, or if you're just getting started with GraphQL, I think that'll be a good one to get started. Special guest 8base is going to be on, and I don't know, learn something new.
It looks like we got the answer from the chat. If the body type is text, I don't know what you were passing before, but anyway, that's an exercise for the
Antonio?
reader.
Yeah, exercise for the reader. Just change from raw JSON to body type text. Maybe it'll work. Maybe somebody in the audience can fix it for us.
Yeah, that website is up and deployed, so bang on it all you want.
Okay. Well, thank you so much again. I will see you next week, everyone. Goodbye, Erik. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, Joyce. This is great. Thank you.